watching porn, or beating your meat, or just checking something real quick, or opening an incognito tab, or doom scrolling thumbnails, or looking for the perfect video, or telling yourself this is the last time, or doing that thing where you suddenly become a film critic for the worst media on earth, or whatever people will call it, once everyone gets too embarrassed to say gooning out loud, is not automatically a problem, but it can become one. And my guess is, if you clicked this video, you probably already know that. Because rent is insane. Dating feels like applying for jobs with worse feedback. Everyone is lonely, but also somehow too tired to text back. Your job wants your soul in exchange for a Teams meeting. Your brain is fried by 12 apps, 3 group chats, and a constant low-grade sense that you're behind in life. And then there's porn. It's free, endless, private, instantly available, and designed in the exact shape of a modern person's weakest moment. Your feed sells you bodies. The internet sells you fantasies. Algorithms learn what makes you pause for half a second, and then quietly build you a personal casino where the slot machine is just another thumbnail. And then an entire industry gets to pretend this is all just choice, as if they didn't build a vending machine for loneliness, stress, boredom, rejection, insecurity, and 1:13 a.m. sadness. But at least we can all close the laptop afterward and stare at the ceiling, like a Victorian ghost who has seen the future and does not approve. So the common question is, how do you actually know if you're addicted to porn? And the annoying but true answer is, it's not about whether you watch it. It's not even just about how often you watch it. It's about whether you still feel like you're the one choosing it. If you watch porn sometimes, enjoy it, move on, and it doesn't mess with your life, that's one thing. But if you keep using it even when you don't want to, if it starts feeling less like pleasure and more like maintenance, if you're not chasing excitement anymore, but trying to stop a feeling from catching up to you, that's when it gets weird. So here are 6 signs that porn might not just be something you watch. It might be something that's starting to watch you back. The first sign is that you open it before you even fully decide to. Like your body gets there before your brain does. You're not sitting there making some dramatic villain choice like, tonight, I shall ruin my dopamine receptors. You're just bored for 12 seconds, or stressed, or lying in bed, or switching tabs after doing something mildly difficult. And then suddenly your thumb is moving. Browser open, search typed, private tab loaded, same site, same rhythm, same little ritual. This is what I'd call the Autopilot tab. Because the scary part isn't that you wanted it. The scary part is that you barely noticed the wanting. It becomes muscle memory, like checking your phone when there's no notification, opening the fridge when you're not hungry, refreshing an app you closed 9 seconds ago, because apparently your brain thinks the answer to life might have appeared since then. And once porn gets wired into that autopilot loop, it stops feeling like an activity and starts feeling like a reflex. You're not choosing it because you're excited. You're choosing it because your brain has learned uncomfortable feeling detected. Begin sequence. The second sign is that you don't even really watch porn anymore. You hunt for it. You scroll. You open 5 tabs. You close 3. You search something more specific. Then more specific. Then somehow even more specific. You keep thinking, no, not this one. Almost. Maybe this one. Actually, no. Okay, this is weirdly bad. Why is everyone acting like this? Why am I still here? And before you know it, 20 minutes have gone by, and you haven't even found the thing you supposedly came for. That's the thumbnail treadmill. You're chasing the feeling that the next video might finally be the one that hits perfectly. And the reason this matters is because the search becomes part of the addiction. The anticipation becomes more stimulating than the actual thing. It's not just about the content anymore. It's about novelty. New face, new setup, new category, new intensity, new maybe this will do it. And then after a while, regular porn feels too slow, too normal, too familiar, too human. So the search bar gets longer. It's a peculiar way for your search logs to suggest that, on a spiritual level, things might be drifting off course. The third sign is that you keep moving the line. You tell yourself, only once this week. Then it becomes, okay, only once today. Then only if I'm stressed. Then only if I don't spend too long. Then only if it's not that kind of porn. Then suddenly you're negotiating with yourself like a hostage mediator, except both people in the room are you and neither of them is winning. This is the line creep. And the thing about line creep is it rarely feels dramatic while it's happening. Nobody wakes up one day and says, I think I'll slowly violate every boundary I made with myself, in tiny increments until I can no longer trust my own promises. It's smaller than that. It's one exception, then another exception, then a special circumstance, then a stressful day, then a bad mood, then a reward, then a coping mechanism, then a habit, and eventually the rule isn't really a rule anymore. It's just something you say before you break it. That's when the problem isn't even porn by itself. It's the fact that your own word starts becoming background noise. The fourth sign is that you keep watching even after it stops feeling good. This one is important because people think addiction means pleasure, but a lot of the time, addiction is what happens after pleasure leaves and the behavior stays. You're tired. Your eyes hurt. You're bored. The video isn't even doing anything for you anymore. You're clicking around with the enthusiasm of someone renewing car insurance, and yet you don't stop. That's the empty scroll zone. You're not really enjoying it, but stopping feels weirdly difficult. Like there's still some invisible itch you haven't scratched correctly. So you keep going, not because it feels amazing, but because stopping would mean sitting with whatever feeling was underneath it. And this is where porn can become less like entertainment and more like emotional anesthesia. Not happiness, not desire, not even real pleasure. Just numbness with Wi-Fi. And if you've ever closed the tab and immediately felt worse, not guilty in some dramatic religious painting way, but just flat, drained, irritated, foggy, or weirdly alone, that's worth paying attention to. Because your brain might not be saying, that was fun. It might be saying, that didn't work, do it again later, which is a terrible review from the only customer that matters. The fifth sign is that real people start feeling less stimulating than the screen. Not less attractive necessarily, less instantly clickable, because real intimacy has loading screens. You have to talk, read signals, be awkward, be present, deal with another person's pace, emotions, body, preferences, insecurities, and humanity. Porn has none of that. Porn doesn't need you to be charming. Porn doesn't care if you're tired. Porn doesn't reject you. Porn doesn't ask what you're looking for. Porn doesn't have bad lighting unless that is apparently the entire category. So after enough time, the screen can start training your brain to prefer control over connection. This is the friction problem. Real people have friction. Porn removes friction. And if your brain gets used to instant novelty, instant access, and zero vulnerability, then normal attraction can start feeling strangely underwhelming. Not because real people are boring, but because real people are real. They don't arrive in infinite tabs. They don't reset every 30 seconds. They don't exist purely to match whatever mood your brain is trying to manufacture. And that can quietly mess with your expectations. Because eventually, intimacy can start feeling like too much work, while porn feels like the shortcut. The problem is that shortcuts are useful when they take you somewhere, not when they replace the destination. The sixth sign is that you're not using porn because you're turned on. You're using it because you don't want to feel something. You're anxious, so you watch. You're bored, so you watch. You're lonely, so you watch. You feel rejected, so you watch. You had a bad day, so you watch. You had a good day, so apparently you also watch. At some point, porn becomes the emotional Swiss Army knife. Bad mood, porn. No mood, porn. Too much energy, porn. No energy, porn. Tiny inconvenience, time to destroy the evening. This is the mood remote, because you're using it to change the channel inside your own head. And to be clear, everyone uses things to regulate emotions. People use food, music, exercise, TikTok, gaming, shopping, alcohol, productivity, and pretending they're just going for a drive, when really they're having a breakdown with cup holders. The issue is when one button becomes the only button. Because if porn is the thing you use every time you feel uncomfortable, then your brain never gets practice doing anything else. It doesn't learn how to sit with stress. It doesn't learn how to handle boredom. It doesn't learn how to process rejection. It just learns. When feeling appears, open tab. And that's when it stops being about sex. It becomes emotional avoidance wearing a fake mustache. So those are 6 signs. You open it before you decide to. You search more than you watch. You keep moving the line. You keep going after it stops feeling good. Real people start feeling less stimulating than the screen. And you use it less for desire and more to change your mood. And again, this isn't about shame. Shame usually makes this stuff worse because shame is one of the feelings people are trying to escape from in the first place. The point isn't to hate yourself for having a habit. The point is to ask a very simple question. Do I still feel free? Because if the honest answer is no, then the goal isn't to become some perfect monk who levitates above desire and only drinks room temperature water. The goal is to get choice back. And choice starts with noticing the moment before the tab opens, not after. Before.